Sarah Mitchell was 2 months behind on rent with an eviction notice hanging on her door when she found something unexpected in her mailbox. A white envelope containing a single note and exactly the amount of cash she desperately needed. The note was just 3 words. "You are not alone." No signature, no return address, no explanation. What Sarah would discover 30 years later was that this white envelope was part of a secret network reaching thousands of families across America. And at the center of that network, while the world knew him as the most famous athlete alive, Muhammad Ali was quietly fighting an entirely different kind of battle. This is the story of the legacy Ali never wanted the public to see. Behind the championships and fame, the story of a man who dedicated his life to sending hope to strangers, and proof that sometimes the greatest victories happen in places no one ever sees. December 1978. The electricity had been cut off in Sarah Mitchell's small Detroit home. 6 months pregnant and struggling to stay afloat since her husband had been laid off from the factory, Sarah was fighting to survive. Rent was 2 months overdue, and the landlord had been clear: pay before the new year or face eviction. That Monday morning, when Sarah checked her mailbox, she found something that would change her life. The envelope bore only her name and address, with no sender information. Inside was cash that exactly covered her rent debt and a handwritten short note: "You are not alone." Sarah's first thought was that it must be a mistake. No one could have sent her this much money. No one knew about her rent problems. But the money was real, and she needed it. When she showed her husband Michael, he was equally stunned. "Where could this have come from?" Michael asked. "I don't know," Sarah said, "but this will keep us from being homeless." That night, neither could sleep, as they couldn't think of anyone who would do such a thing. The next day, Sarah asked her neighbors. No one had heard of anything like it. What neither Sarah nor Michael knew was that the same week, 47 other families across America were receiving similar white envelopes, each containing exactly the amount they needed and the same simple message: "You are not alone." In Chicago, Maria Rodriguez, raising 3 children alone, found the money she needed to pay her gas bill. In Atlanta, Robert Johnson, undergoing cancer treatment, received the amount he needed for medication. In Seattle, the Williams family, trying to repair their burned home, found exactly what they needed for costs not covered by insurance. All had received the same careful attention. No traces, no explanations, no expectation of return. Just help and that 3-word note. Behind this operation was Muhammad Ali, but the world didn't know it. In 1978, Ali was at the peak of his career both inside and outside the ring. He had reclaimed his championship, multi-million-dollar contracts, global fame. But none of these gave him as much happiness as they gave Sarah Mitchell. How Ali established this secret help network dated back to 1975. That year, he had given a speech in Chicago, and after the event, while eating at a small restaurant, he noticed an elderly woman crying at a neighboring table. When Lonnie Ali, then still his fiancée, went to talk to the woman, she learned that the woman couldn't find her rent money and feared being evicted from her grandmother's house. Ali immediately pulled money from his pocket and offered it to the woman, but the woman refused to take it. "I don't accept charity," the elderly woman had said. "I take what I earn by working." This had been a turning point for Ali. That night in the hotel, while talking with Lonnie, he had asked, How can we help people without embarrassing them? Maybe secretly, Lonnie had said. That's how it began. Ali first assembled a small team. Lonnie, his trusted assistant Howard Bingham, and former boxer and now Ali's financial manager, accountant Jabir Herbert Muhammad. Each month, they connected with local leaders, priests, and social workers in different cities. They asked these people for lists of families in need, but on the condition that they never mention Ali's name. The process worked like this. During the first week of each month, the team selected 50 families. Each family was carefully researched to verify they were truly in need. Then Ali personally prepared each envelope. He put in the money, wrote the note, and addressed it. He never used the same handwriting style, never used the same paper. Everything was planned to look different. The most important rule, Ali would tell his team, is that no one should ever hear my name. As years passed, the operation grew. In the 1980s, they were reaching 75 families per month. By the 1990s, despite Ali's advancing Parkinson's disease, they were helping 100 families monthly. Even when Ali could no longer handwrite the envelopes, Lonnie and the team continued the system. Where did the money come from? Some from Ali's fight earnings, but the main source was more clever. Ali had allocated a certain percentage of his investment portfolio for this purpose: real estate investments, television rights, advertising revenues. A portion of all went to the White Envelope Fund. What good is fame if you're not helping people? Ali would say. They took elaborate precautions to maintain secrecy. Envelopes were sent from different cities. Postal stamps never came from the same place. Sometimes Ali would even travel to different cities and mail the envelopes from there. Once in 1982, a journalist had stumbled upon traces of the operation. He had learned that many families in Chicago had received mysterious help the same week. When he began investigating, one of Ali's team members, Jabir, gave the journalist a different story, claiming it was a donation from a local businessman. The journalist published this story, and the truth never came to light. When Ali's condition worsened in 1995, Lonnie took over the operation. Ali's directives were clear. Continue until the money runs out. Sarah Mitchell's discovery of the truth came in 2008. After her husband Michael died of cancer, her financial situation became difficult again. One day there was the familiar white envelope in her mailbox again, but this time the envelope also brought back memories from 30 years ago. She began investigating. She searched online, talked to old neighbors. Eventually she found other people who had the same experience. They all told the same story: mysterious help during difficult times. Only the note, "You are not alone." Sarah's discovery created a domino effect. The families they found connected with other families. A network formed over social media. Eventually, hundreds, then thousands of families emerged. They all had the same story. In 2012, the group hired a detective. They followed trails, examined postal records, researched financial transfers. Eventually, the trail led to Muhammad Ali's circle. Sarah decided to personally call Ali. By then, Ali's condition was very poor. He could barely speak. But when Lonnie answered the phone and Sarah told her story, after a long silence, Lonnie spoke. "Would you like to come visit us?" In the fall of 2012, Sarah traveled from Michigan to Arizona to visit Ali. When she saw Ali, she was shocked. The great champion was now in a wheelchair, speech very difficult, but his eyes still sparkled. Sarah, Allie whispered with difficulty. 30 years later. Was it you? Sarah asked. All these years, was it you? Allie tried to smile. You are not alone, he said. That afternoon, Lonnie told Sarah everything. How many families, how much money, how many years. Sarah cried, not just for herself, but for the thousands of families who would never learn this. Why? Sarah asked. Why did you keep it secret all these years? Lonnie looked at Ali, who was trying to speak with difficulty. Because, Lonnie said on Ali's behalf, he didn't do this for fame. Help isn't for show. Help is because it's necessary. Ali nodded approvingly. And, Lonnie added, because if everyone knew, it would change the meaning of this help. People would think it was their right. But this isn't a right. This is love. Before Sarah left, Ali gave her something, an old notebook he pulled from a drawer. Inside were thousands of names, every family that had received a white envelope. This, said Lonnie, is his real championship list. When Muhammad Ali died in 2016, Sarah Mitchell attended the funeral. But something much more important than that ceremony happened, the gathering of white envelope families. On the day of the funeral, over 500 families gathered in Phoenix. They all had the same story. They had all been quietly saved by Ali. None knew of the other's existence. That day, they made a decision. They would continue Ali's legacy. They established the You Are Not Alone Fund. Each month, they select new families, sending white envelopes in the same way. Muhammad Ali showed us that we are not alone, Sarah said in her speech that day. Now it's our turn to show others the same thing. Today, you are not alone. Envelopes are still being sent. They now reach 200 families per month. The money comes from the fund Sarah established, but most contributors are families who previously received Ali's help. In 2020, during the pandemic, the fund expanded to 500 families per month. In 2021, when the freeze disaster hit Texas, emergency aid was sent to 1,000 families. Each envelope still contains the same note. You are not alone. And now there's a small addition. From Muhammad Ali's legacy. Sarah Mitchell is now 73 years old. She still personally prepares at least 10 envelopes each month. The biggest thing Ali taught me, she says, is that the most beautiful help is the help no one sees. Last year, Sarah's son Marcus wrote his mother's story in a book, White Envelopes, Muhammad Ali's Secret Legacy. All proceeds from the book go to the fund. On the last page of the book is a note Ali wrote in 1987. Real championship is won not in the ring, but in places no one sees. Real strength is when you help others, and they don't know who you are. The greatest victory is the victory no one can count. Because sometimes the greatest legacies are left in places no one sees. Muhammad Ali taught the world not just how to fight, but how to love. And the most powerful punch is sometimes the one never thrown. Just hope left in someone's mailbox who needs it. Even today, anywhere in America, a family in difficult circumstances might open their mailbox and find a white envelope. What they'll find inside isn't just money, but proof that the world hasn't forgotten them. And with each envelope comes the same powerful message. You are not alone. You are never alone.